guys, how's it going? Welcome to this week's recap video. We've had another beautiful week of weather. We've had rain. It rained twice yesterday. Hard.
It feels like a different state that we live in.
I know. It's so awesome. And I know that we always open with the weather, but that's what gardeners care about.
Yeah.
It's the weather, right? I'm always interested to see how every area is doing.
Also, we got our garden tour done, and it's looking the best it ever has.
I think so too. We were walking around, I was driving around with a friend last night, and I was just telling her, like, I feel, even though there's, tons of space to still plant and things to do, and there's no open trenches.
Yeah.
Which is like first time in years we haven't had an open trench somewhere where we're working on a project. So that's real nice.
You will look back and be thankful for the open trenches, though.
Oh, I already am.
Yeah.
I already am. I know they're necessary, and I know that they're going to make life so much easier. But it's still an open trench.
Yeah.
So anyway, it is very nice. You guys, today's recap video is sponsored by HoseLink, and I feel like we're getting to the point of the season that if you're going to be sick of your hose, you're probably
there
at that
yeah.
at that limit. Coiling up hoses and things like that's such a pain. And HoseLink has retractable hoses, 2 different lengths. I've not ever used the smaller one. It's a 50-foot length.
Yeah.
But I can see where that'd be really handy to have. And then 82-foot length, which is the ones we use, and we just ordered 4 more for areas around our property. And then my mom was saying that she kind of thinking she wants one.
Really?
I thought, maybe we could come out and install one for you.
Yeah. We tried to install one once at your parents'. Do you remember that? And then we couldn't. We were still new to HoseLink, and so we didn't know, you don't have a post to put it on.
Oh, sure.
And I think at the time
we were looking for walls.
We were looking for walls, yeah. And now it's so easy. We just get, you can either put a post like a 4x4 or 4x6, or we just jam a 1-inch pipe in the ground.
Yeah.
Like literally just jam it in.
Yeah.
And it works.
It's so nice. So anyway, it's been a huge, huge, enormous help in our garden to have those. They are giving one away to one of you guys today. So all you have to do to enter that giveaway is comment below this video on YouTube. And yeah, you'll be entered, and we will announce the winner when?
Probably about a week.
About a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you're curious about who's been winning, you can go to to the last few videos where we've been giving them away, and I've been putting the winners in the description of the video. Perfect. Also the pinned comment.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you HoseLink for sponsoring this video. We will link their website down below, guys, if you want to check them out. I highly recommend them. First video was planting around the brick patio and a new plant load. That was a fun, there are 2 fun projects. So we decided this year, since we aren't sure exactly what style of fountain we want in the middle of the brick patio, which is I think the direction we're going to go, but we haven't found one that we really just love. Yeah. So I just thought, better than keeping it just dirt, let's plant it with something pretty. I have some things left over in the high tunnel from other projects. I think we can put something together. So we ended up putting some annuals in, coleus and surefire begonias, king tuts, and some coconut nemesia. And then in the middle of all that, we got a load of plants from Monrovia. They showed up down at the garden center, so we went down and picked those up, and then I walked you through all the stuff that they sent out. It was a fun day. Prima Ballerina 56 says, what a fun planting day. The circle turned out beautiful. Thank you. Are you working with Monrovia too, as well as proven winners? No, we aren't. I mean, they sent us those plants definitely, for us to try out. Some of them are brand new plants, or plants coming out next year, or new ones this year.
Yeah,
I'd have to look at the list.
I don't think that they do new plants like Proven Winners does, but
they do.
Yeah, maybe they do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure some of those are brand new. So anyway, I've got...
That shows you how much we know.
Yeah. We planted the sunflowers out at my parents' house. Oh, it's so pretty. And then, which I don't know if you've seen that video yet.
Probably, maybe not.
Maybe not. Anyway, those ended up in my parents' garden, and they're awesome. And then I planted the 9 barks. So that's what I've made it through out of that load so far. And you maybe haven't seen that video yet either. I don't know. We're a couple of days ahead. Tends to happen this time of year when there's a lot to do. Terry Kim said, Erin, did you know Laura was such a hard worker before you married her?
Did I know you were a hard worker? Yeah, I think...
We were doing different things at the time.
Yeah, we were. That's the thing, is that our lives weren't the same.
I hadn't found my passion yet in life. I mean, I think I was always driven-ish, but I tried several things out. I was working...
You were working at the clinic.
I worked at the vet clinic.
And at the church.
Coffee shop and the church, and And then I worked in business banking, and that was the worst. And so I think it all kind of pushed me back to the garden, which I thought I wouldn't end up in. But I think when you find that thing, like, it just clicked for me, and I loved it, and I just really wanted to work hard at it.
Yeah, it wasn't until like I realized you were a really hard worker once you went to work for your parents at the garden center, because you were always the first one to show up and the last one to leave, and you put in more hours down there, I think. Well, except for Robert.
Yeah,
the seed plant guy.
I
think he had you beat in terms of the hours that he put in there. But you were second.
Vivian said, I've been watching your videos since late summer of 2022 and have never seen Douglas until now. Where has he been? Does he not hang out with Russell and Cheddar? So I think I kind of talked about this last week, but Douglas showed up like a couple of years ago, hung out a little bit, and then he disappeared for all of last year. We didn't know where he was, and then he came back. And he has been here. Like, he's kind of a mainstay at this point. And Russell's okay with him. They get into little tiffs, but so did Russell and Cheddar. Cheddar is territorial.
I wonder if some other family is like, oh, I guess Douglas is gone. Yeah. Like they were feeding him for like a whole year or something.
Yeah, I don't know. He acts a little bit too wild.
Yeah.
But, some cats kind of act like that.
Well, they had to been living somewhere.
Yeah, but Cheddar was way more loving. Like, I would have guessed Cheddar came from another house.
Yeah.
But Cheddar showed up the exact same way and completely just adopted us. I remember I was in the greenhouse and I heard him meow when it was Cheddar. And Cheddar and Russell, they play a lot, but they also fight too.
But I think they like to fight.
Yeah. They like roll around and they chase each other. And
it looks like they like it.
Yeah. Boys R Us said, where do you source your black mulch from? Is it near you or in the Boise area? So we don't use black mulch. We use compost, and it's from our local, it's called Ontario Rock and Landscape, and they bring it in bulk. In fact, they just bring us the whole truck. They get one, they'll bring up a bunch and just dump it in our new property, just in a big pile, and then we can use off of it. And it's kind of like, it's not a fully composted compost. It's like in between.
It's from the other side of the state, from like the forest.
Yeah.
Forest
that's probably what
Oregon.
Yeah, what you were asking. I'm sorry, but they source it from the western side of our state.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like in between a finer bark mulch and an actual compost. Like there's still some little tiny pieces in it of wood, but it's not dyed, and it stays true to color pretty nicely. Like, it doesn't fade out super fast.
Yeah.
Brett said, how sweet seeing the kids running around. Question, my king, I didn't even realize you guys until, I didn't even watch that video before it went out. In fact, I haven't been watching them. You've been watching them.
Yeah.
So I'm just like
Which is
filming.
good, because you have a lot of stuff going on. You don't need to.
So I haven't even been reviewing them, and I didn't even see until, I think I had it on, I was getting ready one day, and I saw the kids getting in front of the camera, messing around. It was funny. Question, my king tut grass is going to seed. Can I save the seeds for next year? You could try. I don't know.
Most proven winners plants are bred not to come back. And they say it's to give energy to the plant to be more robust that year. And I do agree with that. But some of them do come, like they say they don't come back, but they do.
Yeah.
I also wonder if some plants are labeled annual for like legal reasons or something like that. It's like, of course, I don't know what the legal reason would be that you'd have to call it an annual.
I know that they're lamium I don't know if it's still labeled an annual, but it's definitely not an annual.
Was it like a zone 6 or something?
Zone 5.
But yeah.
Yeah. I asked him once, I'm like, why is this labeled? I mean, it says hardy down to zone 5.
Right.
I mean, it's an annual in zone 4,
for
sure, but you could say that of so many different things.
But that's a small part of the country. If you take all the like zone 2 through 4, that's not the majority of the U.S.
Right. Next question. Wow, I can't believe you're planting up this bed already. Everything is happening so fast. I'm glad it seems that way to you. That brick patio was supposed to be done last fall, and then I asked him, he said we were going to be first on his list in the spring. We were not. And then I asked, can we please have it done by May 1st? Because we have a ton of stuff going on, and I really don't want big trucks right in this area because we have a lot of traffic going through here, and they didn't finish till the middle of June. Can't wait to see what the next big project is going to be. What is the next big project? The pond, which will go in next month.
Yeah.
Yep, that will be a good size pond and a good size project, and it will be done in 2 to 3 days. I can't even believe that.
After that, I think we might chill out for a little bit.
Yeah, we need to chill out for a little while. Just like refine areas, plant
care
things,
for the areas we have, and
just relax a bit.
Yeah.
On the big stuff.
So that's not true.
Never say never.
There is going to be one project.
What's
we
that?
need to redefine the edges of the grass in the backyard, which might mean like getting rid of all the grass and reseeding.
Backyard. Oh, in front of the Hartley.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do need to do that because there's sections that are dying because we had to cap sprinklers when we did the Hartley project.
And those roses, those
they need to
climbing
go.
roses, they need to go.
Yeah.
And
We struggle with iron deficiency right there really bad anyway. And to have to, you know, some things you're willing to treat because they are like
they're
key
awesome.
pieces or they're awesome. But those are not that awesome right there.
No.
And to have to dump expensive iron on those all the time is kind of a... They're a beautiful plant if they're in the right spot.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just really not. Higgins Angel said the 1/2-inch irrigation tubing for that circle, is that solid or have holes every 6 inches? That has holes every 12 inches.
We've been switching over to Rainbird. So we used to buy it from Home Depot, and it would be every like 18 inches, and it was made by Dig Corp. And now we've been getting, Rainbird stuff.
That poly seems a little thicker too.
Does it?
Yeah, it doesn't seem as flimsy to me. Which, with the brown, especially if you're doing grids, it doesn't matter. But it's kind of nice when you know it's not going to keep.
I like the idea of Rainbird stuff more because they make things more for professionals. Whereas like Dig Corp, it seems like there's like a Home Depot brand. That's the only place I see it. Maybe they sell it more places, but which is a consumer brand. And oftentimes consumer products just aren't as robust.
Yeah. Next video was last chance to trim the boxwood and planting red flowers. So we had a cool down to where, in fact, we were supposed to go camping that weekend, and we're going to have to plan another camping trip because the kids were so excited. But where we were going to go camping, they were calling for snow. The high was like 44, and the low was below freezing.
It was like
and
30, I think it got down to.
Yeah, like we're not going to go up to, I mean, we can't.
Not great camping weather.
Yeah, and I guess it rained that whole day.
Yeah.
They woke up to snow that morning, a snow floor. That's not exciting camping for me, and I don't think the kids would actually end up loving that experience.
Well, and we love being home, and so if the weather here, when it's typically around 100 this time of year, if it gets down to the 60s, like 50s
was
and 60s,
the high.
Yeah, it's like you want to be home enjoying that weather.
Yeah,
you don't want to be like roughing it somewhere.
I know,
in the
like
cold.
freezing cold, like we're back in winter. So anyway, we had that cool down, and it poured rain the day before all day. And then it rained the day it rained the day after I did the boxwood. Anyway, there's a lot of rain involved. But the high, the day I trimmed the boxwoods was 66. And then we had like 5 days after that were low 70s. And I thought, oh, this is my window, like my last window where I can trim these boxwoods and they'll have a few days to acclimate before, getting a little bit warmer. So I got the boxwoods in Versailles done. I took after those sprinters around the urn hard. They look so rough. But I think they'll most likely bounce. And then I ended up having time to do the boxwoods on the west side, and those look better. Even though I trimmed those earlier this season, I took after those pretty hard too, and I exposed a bunch of the damage. But I thought I'm going to end up with the same floppy boxwood situation that I have up in around the urn if I don't take after these west side ones a little harder. So it was really nice that we had a chance to do that. And then I had these beautiful, and they're called Boldly Dark Red geraniums. They're Proven Winners variety. I had those in the high tunnel from the college project. And I always like to have an extra flat of everything that we plant out in like community projects, just in case something happens. And like this year, first time down at the college, a few plants, like 5 or 6 plants were stolen, which, it doesn't happen as much too once they've rooted in, but when they're brand new, it would happen downtown occasionally. And so anyway, I had to replace a few. So I had a few of these geraniums left from that, and I thought these would be really fun to have as Christmas flowers in the Hartley, because I did such good luck with the coral geraniums that I brought in last winter. This is going to be a way easier alternative to poinsettias and caladiums and all of that business that are a little bit more fussy, and I'll still probably do those plants, but if I have red geraniums, I can do less of those. And they're kind of like on the blue scale of red, or blue side of red. They're not like a real hot, they're kind of like this rich velvety. They're real pretty. Natalie said, love your videos. Do you leave your terracotta pots with the boxwoods outside for the winter? I'm in 6B and was told I need to bring the pots into the garage so they don't crack. That's the smartest thing to do for sure. I leave mine out. The only time I've ever had terracotta crack, I had one crack by the flower shed. And I think that was because, and there was bulbs in it. So, I mean, it wasn't like a huge loss or anything. I didn't have an evergreen in there. We don't have any rain gutters on our flower shed, which is something I need to rethink if our weather is going to stay the way it is. I wanted to not have rain gutters because typically that's not a thing. I mean, it is a thing.
Yeah.
But for a shed, I was like, I don't think I need this. But it had all the runoff went right into those pots, and then we did have like some, deep freeze it, not deep. I mean, 9 degrees, that's a deep freeze. Yeah. That was as low as we got this last winter.
It doesn't stay like that for very long, though.
No, but whatever, kind of situation, and it had extra water more than any of our other containers that I had out, and one of those cracked. I'm still using it. Like, well, as long as you're not falling apart, I'm going to use you. But it got like a spiral crack around if I tried to lift it up, it would probably come apart. Possibly. Flower Girl said, how in the world do you keep that hollyhock standing up? Mine is against a potting shed and it falls over every year. I have no idea. It's like we have hollyhocks of a different breed.
It's like they're getting they're growing up without too much moisture. Mm-hmm. And so they're getting the exact amount to where they're sturdy.
They're getting the wind too. As they grow up, they're getting the wind, so they make a resistance. We should package and market those seeds.
There you go.
Yeah, because they're a good one. OKFS9LJ said, hello, do you have any tips on boxwood clipping cleanup? We use the Fiskars shrub rake. It's a smaller rake that's plastic, and it's got flexible tines, so it doesn't really mess up mulch or rocks or things like that. And we will rake up the bulk of them, and then we just use a blower, and there's little bits and stuff that just kind of disperse. It's not 100% slick, but Paul and Bethany were going behind, and they were cleaning up boxwood clippings as I was doing it. Did we show that? I think we set up the camera to where it could show the whole all doing it. I don't know if it made it in.
Yeah, I don't think it did make it in the video.
Anyway, yeah, so they were there. The kids were running around, and you were in and out, and Paul and Bethany were doing their thing, cleaning up and helping me, and that's how we get things done here. It's not all me. There's always a team behind, really doing a ton of finish work and a ton of maintenance and a ton of things that I, would have to do, and I wouldn't have time to make videos.
Right.
If I didn't have help. So it's really, I'm thankful for them. Sarah Perryman said, at 11:13, you can see what appears to be suckers on the tree. I was thinking in a past video you talked about sucker punch. I have a tree that is completely throwing out suckers. Do you still recommend using something like sucker punch? Yes, and it's been a while since I've used it. We used it on the ash tree in front of the gazebo when it was still there. But yeah, definitely. Read the label, all that business, but it does work. Jenny said, your videos are amazing, thank you. I watch them all. I live in Australia, so we are opposite season to you. Could you please mention in your videos what season it is that you trim box hedges? Yeah, seasons, we have kind of 2 windows to trim our boxwoods, and every area will be a little bit different. Usually I don't like to touch boxwoods after it gets about 80 or so, because usually our hot temperatures are coupled with dry and a lot of wind. This year I feel like we've had a little bit more flexibility. We've had a lot more cloud cover, and so I think the window is a little bit greater in some areas where you do get a lot of cloud cover, but you just want to make sure that you're not out there trimming them when it's super duper hot, or you're expecting a ton of wind, because then you can get some tip damage. So typically we do ours late spring, and then we do it again early fall. And again, you don't want to do it too late to where you might get a really cold night and you'll get winter cold damage to the tips. You want them to have a few weeks before it really gets cold so they can start acclimating.
Let me take a stab at it.
Oh.
2 weeks after you trim, you don't want the lows to go lower than about 45, and you don't want the highs to go higher than 80.
Yeah. There you go. That was a way easier answer. You should just jump in more. Aaron streamlines my life in words and in projects. Amanda said, what is the benefit of using the sprinters? Was it just a trial and error thing, or was there a reason you switched to sprinters? I'm sure you explained it in a video, but I can't remember. It seems like the winter gem is working out better. As of now, winter gem definitely is working better, and I think plants will react differently in different areas, just like everything else. And sprinters is supposed to be the improved version of winter gem, and it might be in some spots, some areas, but after having
for us, the winter gem is the improved winter gem
for sure. The sprinters aren't supposed to bronze out as much, and they did. They're supposed to be faster growing, which maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe they grow too fast and they don't create a really thick network of branching. Who knows? Maybe I pruned them wrong. Could be user error as well. but I was treating them both the same. And that's why I feel like I can kind of make a little bit of a judgment call just because I've had experience with both varieties, and winter gems have just done better for me. Anyway, so yeah, it was kind of trial in that sometimes you don't know until a plant gets older what it might do, you know. Shay Strickland said, my husband and I have been offered to come dig up some old established blueberry bushes that will be bulldozed down soon. What is the best way to do this in the middle of summer for them to have a chance at surviving the move? Well, you know, get as much of the root ball as you can. Water them immediately after they get out of the ground. Like put them in the tubs they're going to be in while you transferring them, and give them water before. Like dig them up, put them in the can, give them water right away, and then just keep them super duper wet. I think that's the best.
Treat it
approach.
like it's a sapling or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's a brand new plant.
Yeah. And, you know, if it's a free plant, I mean, you're only out your time, so it's worth it. Especially if they're going to be bulldozed. I know a lot of things we moved just because it was either, you know, we move it, somebody comes and gets it, or it will die. So, and most of the time things survive. Triumph said, do you have to water your boxwoods? Yes, we do. Also, do you fertilize your vegetable garden plants? I put in Biotone starter fertilizer and land and sea compost when I plant initially. It's oftentimes all that they get through the season. If I'm feeling extra energy, I will go out with some garden tone and I will side dress those beds, which maybe I should do that. I should maybe do that with the onions today. That might be a really good thing to do. Yeah, thank you for the reminder. Next video was coleus planting and pulling some big weeds. I had a gob of coleus. In fact, I didn't even realize how many coleus I had until I spread them out in that flower bed. I was like, dang. Because I started pulling out like the first 4 plants to place them, and I thought, I'm going to have to get something else. These are not going to stretch. They certainly did. They stretched. And so I planted up the flower bed below our maple tree by our back shade porch. It's so pretty. I love it, even though the plants haven't grown yet. It just looks pretty to have some interest in there. And then I did go out to the area where I planted all the tomatoes and corn and onions and things, and I weeded one of the rows. And I had to hand weed. Okay, so there were several things. A lot of people said, why don't you just use a a trimmer? I don't know what kind of weeds you guys have, but the kind of weeds we have get trunks like this big around. They're like real sturdy.
They sell metal blades.
That's what I would need.
Install and trimmer. Yeah, that would work. But also that's
scary.
Messy business.
Is it?
Yeah, when you do that, it flings. You need almost like a full face shield.
Oh. Yeah, and we didn't think to leave the aisles wide enough for the lawn tractor to get through. So I didn't use a lawn tractor because the aisle wasn't wide enough, and then I didn't use a trimmer because it's not strong enough for the type of weeds we have.
Next year.
And I told Aaron, you know, if we're just doing the exact same thing, which is likely we'll be just doing gardening those couple of rows, let's just till up a row a slight bit further away.
Well, if I just had a smaller mower, I have a 60-inch deck, which is pretty, I mean, it's nice because we have a big lawn. But
there's
if I had
no
a smaller
reason,
mower, I could have done it.
No reason to get a smaller mower for that. So if we just till up a new row a little bit further away, that'll take you like all of 3 minutes to do that.
Or you could just lay down a strip of landscape fabric too.
I know, but I just wanted this project to not like be costly or have to use a bunch of landscape staples.
Yeah.
And it was easy. I mean, I went out there and an hour and a half or something. I can't remember how long of a row it was, but it was pretty satisfying weeding, to be quite honest. It was hot that day and humid. It was humid. I remember thinking, those of you who garden in humid climates, like props, because I don't know how you do it. But it was satisfying. So Just Anonymous said, regarding the coleus you planted, what happens to the thousands of daffodil bulbs you have in the ground already? Does the auger chew up the bulbs? I only kicked up 2 daffodil bulbs.
And it's thick in there. And honestly, those daffodils didn't bloom for very long.
No, they didn't this year. It was because our weather was so weird.
Maybe. We had foliage for way longer than we had blooms.
Yeah. And they did bloom, but once they bloomed, it was so late, and then it heated up, and then they just kind of fizzled out.
And then you just kind of have that wispy, like grass kind of looking foliage in there for a long time.
Yeah.
And I didn't love it.
No. Yeah, oftentimes, like, I do put the cart before the horse a lot in my bulb planting, especially because we've had so many areas that I want color and I want spring bulbs, but I have nothing planted in those spots yet. So if we chew up some of the bulbs, I'm totally fine with that. But I only kicked up 2 this entire project, which really did surprise me, and I was able to pop them back down in the holes. So I just put them down kind of like to the side of the root ball. They should be just fine. Why don't you mow it with a regular size lawnmower? Quick and easy. Well, it would be quick and easy if I had a regular size lawnmower.
Well, we did. I think the video will be out where I mowed one side of it.
Yeah, that's the thing. The other side of the row of tomatoes, I pulled the weeds that were right up against the tomato plants, and then I mentioned that I was going to ask you to see if you could go mow them, and you did, and it looks good. Mm-hmm. And it was quick. The Color Addict said, you mentioned hail. How does the Hartley with glass handle hail? I'm in Zone 7, Oklahoma, and we get a ton of hail, and I'm terrified to get a glass greenhouse. We haven't had like any major, we had hail.
They sell, it's got to be like the glass that they use can handle it. Mm-hmm. They sell those all over the U.S. I was blown away how many Hartleys get installed. Mm-hmm. Like they have, what do they have? Like 4 crews full time that fly around and install them all the time. Yeah. So there's a lot of them out there.
There are. Mm-hmm.
And there's a ton. Well, I don't know. Do they get hail in the UK? That's where they're from. But yeah. But I know they put them all over in the US.
Somebody from the UK, if you're watching, let us know. I don't know.
Yeah. And they've been doing it long enough that they would know if it was an issue. They would recommend, we can't do this because of hail or whatever.
Dixie Andy said, wow, sunglasses, red flowers, what next? An American flag? We need to replace. We had an American flag up by our front porch, and it just got a little bit faded and a little tattered, so we need to put a fresh one out. Sunglasses, I've been noticing that I've been having a little bit more headaches lately, and I think it's because I think my eyes are getting a little bit more sensitive. I'm getting older. It sucks. Anyway, so I thought, well, I'm going to try some sunglasses. There was a time where I relied on them hard when I was down at the garden center. Remember, I had total raccoon eyes. Just white because I wore sunglasses all the time. And I hated that I was dependent on those dang sunglasses, and I always had to have them with me. And I know it's healthier for you to wear them, and it's better for your eyes. And then I just got used to not wearing them. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I've been wearing them a little bit more often. I need to get some different ones.
Yeah.
Though, because they make the ones I got, they're cute. They're Ray-Bans. They're like a new style that was out this year, but they make everything orange. You do not need everything to look orange. It looks kind of like dead. I didn't
realize that in the store.
Well, it's kind of dark in the store. So I don't know. I don't know why I didn't realize it. Anyway, and then, the red flowers. It was a very surprising day in my life. Ruthie said, Laura, have you ever tested your white soil? It's amazing how you get healthy plants. Yeah, our soil grows stuff, and we did test it, and it wasn't so. In our valley, there have been soil tests done closer to Vail, where the pH has been 9.2. That's high. Yeah, ours was like high 7s. Like it wasn't crazy high pH. It's high enough to where it makes everything iron deficient, and the soil does look white. But it's a very agricultural area, and even though we have to pipe our water in, it grows stuff. Woo. Hey, bud, what are you doing?
Well, in the world, I can hear something.
Oh yeah, you wanted to come check it out, see who was in here? Just us.
Benjamin, you should guard and make sure nobody breaks in.
He's in full army regalia right now.
Last week was astronaut. Today is army.
Yes. Diane said, what are your thoughts on the cedar you had used to plant the corn? Yes on the cedar. And I didn't trust it, so I took the cedar, and I think I mentioned it in the video. First, I took it down about 6 feet, and then I dug up the row to see where the seeds were, and they looked nicely placed.
6 inches?
What?
6 feet? Oh, you went 6 feet.
I went about 6 feet, and then I thought, I'm going to test this out before I plant the whole thing. And they were spaced about 4 or so inches apart, the seeds. But typically when I hand plant, I do 2 seeds per spot, just in case one of them doesn't germinate, and then you have to go through and thin. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to take it back through. And I did mention that I went through the row once, and then I came back through and did it again. Next time, I'm only going to go through it once, because it seeded everything beautifully. You're closing the garage door? Anyway, I was impressed with the cedar. It was so easy. And then Bethany borrowed it because she, like, you think that we plant a lot of things. I think she did like 500 feet of corn this year, plus her whole huge garden. So they took it home and used it out there. Anna Lee said, I was wondering if hostas are okay for a full shade area. Yes, I have a space between a fence and a May Day. So it gets 0 sun during late spring to early fall. During winter, it gets around 2 hours of sun. Oh yeah, hostas would love it. Do that. Tiarellas would love it. Astilbe would love it. Hellebores would love it. Brunnera would love it. Virginia, heuchera. There are a lot of really fun things. Ferns.
Coleus,
yes.
begonias,
Yeah,
surefire.
yeah. And regular. Hakonocloa. Japanese forest grass. Carex. Lamiastrum does pretty good. Lamium too. Lungwort does great. So there's a few ideas for you. PK Cake said, weeding is so satisfying. Curious what weed you have that grows so big. Does it come out in one swoop? Okay, so there's a couple times that I did fall on my bum when I was pulling back, and they kind of, like a couple of them broke off right at the soil surface, and the stump had to stay in the ground. But those are kochia, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, kochia weeds.
They're like little Christmas trees.
Yeah. Next video is beautiful June garden tour, which we ended up breaking our garden tour into 2 sections.
2 hours between the 2 videos.
And we were hoofing it. The last one,
yeah,
in the south garden, I was like, Erin, this is like getting really long. We skipped the flower garden because I knew it was going to push us like way into, so we'll do a flower garden tour soon. But the first one was the area right around our house, like our old garden. And it's not an old garden, but it's like our original garden.
I can see in the future us getting to the point where we do like garden tour week and we break up our whole garden into 7 videos.
So we can give each area its due. Like, I really wanted to spend more time going through some of the evolution of the spaces and talk a little bit more about the plants there, the good and bad and all of that. So yeah, it might turn into something like that. Okay, so Scrapso said, did you name him Douglas? Yes. Wondering where the name came from. Just came. I don't know. Brandy said, what is the bigger purple shrub you are next to at 1915? I don't recognize it, and it looks so pretty. It is like a shrub. It's a perennial called Boom Chocolata geranium, and they are amazing. They are one that I need to cut back like very soon. There's still a little bit of color on the top of them, but I'm going to whip them all the way back down to the ground and let them flush back. And they will not be as big the second time when they come up and bloom again this season. But boy, that first push in the early summer is so pretty.
Who sells that?
I think it's a Proven Winners now.
Oh.
It used to not be, but I think it is now. The High Desert Garden 267 said, so excited for this garden tour. Do you think you'll get the fountain set up in your kitchen entry garden with the Dusty Miller and the Super Tunia Bordeaux? That fountain splatters something fierce. I don't know how I would, I was thinking I could maybe do like some silicone or like that putty stuff to try to direct the water straight down instead of having it like splatter off the top level. I think the design on that one's kind of poor, because I've heard that I'm not the only one. I think it's just like a splattery fountain, which sometimes it's okay, but in areas like ours where we're having to fill them most years, like we're having to fill them by hand all the time, and we've got hard water, so we don't really want water splattering on leaves. That's why we use one of the reasons why we use so much drip irrigation and we water at root level, because we don't want the white buildup on our plants. So anyway, I mean, right now it's just a pretty decorative look. Maybe I should plant it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it might make it look messy.
Yeah, I think it would.
Yeah. Liz Shoemaker said, how is the locust tree that Erin bolted together doing? At 5738, it looks to be a lighter color than its neighbor. It is. We have 2 doing that. It looks like it's leafed out beautifully. I just hope it continues to thrive. We sure hope it does as well. I mean, in terms of the tree being alive on both sides, like it's split pretty good right down the center of that trunk, and Erin bolted it together. This was some 2-3 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
Both sides did great. Like neither side showed any sign of stress, and it's all kind of uniformly the same yellow right now.
Yeah, and that tree is a sunburst honey locust, and they do come out yellow in the spring, like very yellow, and then they turn green a little bit later. So the one has turned green and the other is kind of staying yellow. But then we've got the other honey locust by our kitchen bed that is staying really yellow
and
too.
there was a bunch of dead in it, and we thought it was a goner, but it has leafed out a lot more. And we've been using Super Thrive. We've done it twice now, I think. We need to do it again, and a lot of chelated iron just to be sure, you know. So we're going to continue that and hope for the best on those. There's no apparent issue. We have a sensation box elder tree, which is in the maple family. It's an acer, but we have our tree guys coming out to do some trimming. There's some dead branches in them, which they're seeing is a common thread through our whole area. It's like these more mature trees all of a sudden are showing the same symptoms. There's no bug present, but we might ask them about that when they're here, just to see if they see something we don't. I don't know. After you had your kids, how long did you wait to get back to gardening? We just moved, and I can't wait to get gardening, but I'm 2 weeks postpartum, and I'm itching to start. Well, I mean, you could start in slowly. With Benjamin, I bounced a lot faster.
We had January babies.
We did have January babies.
That makes a big difference because there's not a lot of gardening you're going to do in January.
Right. I think I started filming after Benjamin. It was 10 days after I did my first video. I think that's right. With Samantha, it might have been a couple of weeks. I did not recover as quickly after her as I did with Benjamin. Yeah, that one was a little bit more painful. It was still it wasn't a bad experience. I had to have both my kids C-section. So the recovery was a little bit more intense. But I mean, whatever you do, start in slow and don't push yourself. And, you know, I mean, I know how it feels to want to get back out and get after it, but there's always, you know, later in the season, and there's always next season too. Enjoy your babies. Celestin said, everything is beautiful and has so much growth. I haven't seen anything about the honeyberries. Have they produced much? Do you recommend growing them? Well, the kids have eaten any honeyberries that the birds haven't cleaned up. I need to net those next year. There are no other berries on our property that the birds want as much as they want those honeyberries. I don't know what it is, and the kids want them too. So they were checking them there every day for a lot of days. A couple of weeks they were like inspecting the shrub, and then they realized like it was probably over. The birds got them all, so next year we'll need to net. Anne said, great tour. Second time I've wondered about the hollyhock. Are those hollyhocks one or multiple plants? Well, the one I showed, the pink one, is a one plant. One single plant. It's a beast. Personally yours said, how often do you add the iron to your plants when they're looking better but still need help? Not sure if I'm going to use too much and hurt the plant. You've been doing like a once...
I don't think you can overdo it.
You don't think so?
I think you could...
But as a rule, like with the maple trees that are looking so great this year, and I think it's because you have been very diligent, but you're doing once a month about right.
Yeah, I give like a little bit once a month. And for the trees, because they're in grass, the sprinklers kind of water it in. So I don't water it in. I just kind of go and sprinkle it around the base of the tree and just move on.
You can see when Aaron's been out because there's like a red ring around the plants.
But you know, when you have so many, it's so much work to try to dilute the iron. But that's probably what you should be doing, is like mixing it up in a watering can and then watering at the base of the plant. But yeah, I don't think you can do too much.
Well, my dad used half a bag on one of his trees, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, if it's a plant that you really want to see improved, I would probably do it every 2 weeks until you see results. And then once you start seeing results, you can either keep going once a month maybe, or once every 2 months.
I don't think that's a bad idea, because if you know it's a plant that's prone to the issue, just stay on top of it so it doesn't become a problem again. Just kind of make it more of a habit. It doesn't
take a lot of that iron. I mean, they measure it. It's like the amount that it tells you to do is in teaspoons. And if you buy a whole bag of it for like $80, $90, $100, it should last you years.
Or in your case, half a day of work.
No, actually, when I go around and do everything, I use 2 bags.
Whoa. Okay, well. Happy Bloomer said, what is your process and equipment used for your weekly fertilizing? Well, we have a video for you. Probably isn't out yet. I think that one will be out tomorrow when you're seeing this video. I think it's Monday's video.
Yeah.
We went through our whole setup with our annual fertilizing, what we used, our equipment, all of that. And the last video from this week was the June tour of the South Garden.
Boom.
Yeah, we showed you the high tunnel area, the hay racks, how they were looking 16 days after planting. and then just the whole space.
Did you watch that section?
No.
Oh, it was really good. Ken put in, what it looked like, what all of them looked like 16 days ago.
Was it pretty
And
intense?
yeah, it was like really surprising how much they had grown in 16 days.
That's awesome. Jenny Shaw said, now that you've tried the June bearing varieties, which strawberry is your favorite overall? Oh, I would still say that Seascape is tops, but it's Honey Eye, and All Star are awesome varieties. Now they're done at this point. And I got so many strawberries, which is great. I mean, there's a few little berries. They're still sputtering out, but I mean, the loads, especially on the Honey Eye, and it's spelled really interesting. Maybe we can find the name and put it on the screen, but the loads on those plants was just intense, and the flavor was good. Green Granny said, do you have problems with plant seeding or spreading, or are most sterile? We don't have anything really spreading. It's the Tiger Eye Sumac kind of spreading itself a bit.
Most plants that we plant are
like they're bred to not do that. Mm-hmm. And there's some that you want to spread. Like I want the columbine to spread in some areas. I want the Japanese anemones to spread by our back kitchen door. I want them to be full and lush and fill in their space.
Well, in garden centers, like breeders probably can't sell a lot of things that can be invasive. You know what I mean? So like they're probably limited on what.
Well, everybody sells mint, and that's like the most invasive of all.
Yeah, bamboo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I saw a video of a lady who was like, I want a privacy hedge, so I'm planting bamboo. Like, don't do that.
Love. It's amazing to see your garden space evolve year after year. I cannot wait to see the pond go in. Will you be putting fish into the pond? I think so.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Debbie said, I was just wondering, what is Aaron's reaction when you ask him what is the name of a plant that you've forgotten or the projected size of a plant? Aaron, do you know? Sometimes. Yeah. I picture you shrugging your shoulders as if to say you have no idea.
Oh.
Sometimes, like, we have to stop filming because you usually kind of keep to yourself because you're focused on what you're doing.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, you go like you're telling me to do something, like move because like I'm blocking something that you want to show, and I'm like, what? And
or
we have to
sometimes
stop.
you won't stand close enough to a plant that you're talking about. You are so much better than you used to be, but you also, because let's say you're filming me, right? So like you're looking at me, and you would talk about stuff that you could see, but the camera was pointing this way.
Yeah.
And I was like, Laura, you got to talk about the stuff behind you because that's what people can see. They can't see the view that you see. They see the view that I see. And so, but you never do that anymore. But I think the only thing that you do now is sometimes you don't stand like close enough, and then I have to kind of because I try to get like the plant and you in the shot
without a whole bunch of back and forth and moving it around. Kelly Wood said, "What are the grape support strings? Wire or string? They are like the metal cable. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, cable.
Cable. Yeah. I need to get out there and prune on them. Oh my goodness, We
also need to move that bird
I know.
feeder. That's a bad placement.
It's so pretty right there. We have that bird feeder right there, but it's right next to all of our berries and grapes, and those birds are going to be like, yes. Yeah, it needs to go to the other side of the south garden somewhere. Christy said, I can't help but deadhead my petunias either. And you know what? I talked about the Supertunia Bermuda Beach Improved. And that's one of the only Supertunias that I feel like I need to clean up.
Do you know what? It doesn't look like a Proven Winners to me. It has more like thin, ruffly kind of petals.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I know it's a Proven Winners plant, but most of the time I can spot Proven Winners petunias because they're like thicker.
Yeah. They don't collapse under water pressure,
right.
or
like a lot of the petunias, you water them and their petals just raw. Mm-hmm. But with Proven Winners, most of the time they keep their shape. But anyway, so I wonder if that's why.
It could be.
It's because that's the only one that feels like it doesn't belong. But I like the color. Yeah,
my mom actually, I sent her home with a flat of them last night because she's got a space where I think that they'll work out and they're a color that she likes. But they'll keep blooming even if you don't deadhead them. But they do just kind of look messy unless I clean them up. The grass looks awesome. I have a white rose bush that buds up beautifully, but the blooms never open. Have you ever had this happen? I have had that happen before when I had thrips on my roses. I don't know if that's what you have going on, but that was one of the things, was thrip damage. and you can spray for that. There are a lot of synthetic sprays for thrips that work really well. If you're wanting to stay organic, you can use like an insecticidal soap. You can also use, I've used the tomato and vegetable. It's a Bonide product. It's sulfur and pyrethrins. So that's usually a helpful thing. Last question from Shannon. You mentioned many swallowtails this year. Have you considered growing dill specifically for swallowtail butterflies? Maybe dedicate an area in the cut flower garden for that purpose. As always, love the video. You know, I haven't thought about growing dill in mass for that. All you have to do is plant superbenas. Plant superbenas and you will have swallowtails everywhere. Like they flock to that plant and they feed off of it. It's just amazing to watch. I have noticed tons more birds and a ton more butterflies this year, and big bumblebees this year, like scads of them.
They're
all
like birds.
Over. Yeah.
They're like small birds.
And hummingbirds. We've had lots of hummingbirds. It's just been a great year for wildlife. It's been really fun.
Soon the deer.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, that is it for today's recap video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Hoselink, for sponsoring. And you guys remember, Hoselink is giving one away. So remember to comment below this video, and we will choose a winner in 1 week. 1 week from now. Thanks again. See you guys in the next one. Bye.